Hi guys, good morning. So we will continue with our discussion on this is on module 2 lesson 1. So extinguishment of obligation, and we are done with the first part, and let's continue with the special forms of payment. So therefore, special forms of payment, we have the shown in payment, article 1245, application of payments 1252, payment by session 1255, and tender of payment and consignation article 1256 to article 1261. So let's start with the first one. By the way, medyo masangit akong dila sa kahit ay nakusingaw dire and sakit. So pasensya. Anyways, so the shown in payment, or known as adjudication, or the shown in pago, is the conveyance of ownership of a thing as an accepted equivalent of performance. The existing debt is satisfied with the alienation of the debtor's property. So basically, you have an obligation in this case, and it just so happen that you don't have, for example, cash, wala kay pangbayad, you cannot make payment to the debtor, and thus, however, you have properties. So instead of payment, you will be offering your properties to to fulfill the said obligation. So for example, Nancy owes Kirby 30,000 pesos. However, Nancy does not have a means of payment. So to fulfill the obligation, uh, they have agreed that they could deliver a piano. So from the initial obligation of 30,000 pesos, sa mukas akong dila, no? They will be delivering a piano instead. So that is what you call the shown in payment. So the rule of medium quality. So since there is a change from payment into delivery of an object, if there are no other stipulation, then we'll be following the rule of medium quality, stating that the obligation to deliver a generic thing, the purpose of the obligation, and other circumstances shall be taken into consideration to determine the quality or kind of the thing to be delivered. So if S promised to deliver B a horse, since the quality is silent, meaning there is the quality of the what kind of horse has not been stipulated, then you can simply assume that it is of medium quality. So when we talk of medium quality, this refers to the quality of the said object wherein it is medium. Kumbaga murag tama lang, reasonable, not for racing, not for a particular purpose, but just a horse. Probably masakyan, that is a common use of horse. You could take that into consideration. Siyempre, mabaktas na, walay piang, walay sakit. Basically, a normal one. Okay, so not a prize-winning horse and not an old sickly horse. Tama lang. So that is what you call medium quality. So if B, however, is known to be in a horse racing, then such fact should be taken into account when choosing a horse for him. So for example, in this case, S promised to deliver B a horse. So sa S, mag-promise siya to deliver a horse to B. Pero it is a matter of fact that B is into horse racing. Meaning, kung naaman lang gani kabayo ang i-offer sa iyaha, ang gamitan jud niya is for racing. So if the obligation is that way, then we can justify that the horse that should be given to B is of a racing quality. However, if B is a doctor, veterinary doctor, who is known for examining horse internal organs, meaning pat yun ang kabayo, kwaon ng organ to be examined, then probably an old sickly horse may be accepted. So again, case-to-case basis. Pero again, kung silent or kung walay other information, then we could opt to the medium quality. So the provision that the obligation should be complete also applies. So in order that payment may extinguish obligation, it is necessary that it should be complete. So regardless of the amount, or regardless of how much should be no. Partial payment will not be accepted. It should only be complete. The creditor may accept, but he cannot be compelled to accept partial performance. So for the meantime, the creditor may accept provided that it will be fulfilled later on. However, dili pod siya pwedeng pugson sa debtor na o kanilang sa dawatan na siya kay pwede rin mo balibad ang creditor. Something like mag-offer si debtor og mingon siya nga ay kanilang sa akong ihatag kay na short pa manggod ko. So the creditor may actually refuse to accept. Moingon siya, mo demand yun siya nga dili ko modawat og partial payment because ang sabot nato is complete. So something like that. Example, Larry is indebted to Josie for 5,000 due today. So Larry cannot compel Josie to receive 4,000 only as a partial payment. Okay. Pero again, the 4,000 payment, pwede siya dawaton, pwede po siya dili. Kung mubalibad si Josie sa pagdawat sa 4,000, Larry cannot demand or cannot force Josie to accept the 4,000 pesos. The payment should also be in the legal tender the Philippines, meaning it should be in Philippine peso, hard, cold, cash. Kwarta din siya. So kung mangutang kang kwarta din po din mong ibayad. Kung bayaran kang check, pwede actually ka mo balibad because it is not the legal tender in the Philippines. So the legal tender is the currency which, if offered by the debtor in the right amount, the creditor must accept in payment of the money. So when we talk of a legal tender, this is a medium of payment. In the case of the Philippines, this is Philippine peso, hard, cold, cash. Na pag-ibayad sa creditor, sa debtor sa imuha, dili nimo siya pwede balibaran. So gets, for example, you will be naiutang si A sa imuha 5,000 pesos. Tonol ni A ang 5,000 pesos, hard, cold, cash. So dili pwede mo balibad. No, but again, for purposes of discussion, dili pwede mo balibad si creditor to accept the 5,000 pesos. Now, also take note, in the Philippines, all coins and notes, so mapasensilyo or mapabills issued by the BSP, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, constitute legal tender. For all debts, both public and private. Like for example, nakaiutang 1 million, you wanted to pay the creditor 1 million pero tag 500. So, pwede ba moingon si debtor nga, si creditor nga, ay, check ka na lang ibayad sa kuha para dali lang ang mag-deposit. Dili lang ko mo dawat, ana. So, pwede ba na? The answer is no. Why? Because the debtor is offering 1 million pesos worth of 500 peso bill, tapos ang worth niya is 1 million, the offer sa imuha, then under the law, it is of legal tender. Therefore, the creditor cannot refuse to accept the payment unless if kung, tanaw na to ha, coins are legal tender for the amounts not exceeding 50 pesos for 25 centavos. For example, kung mubayad ka tinag-25, up to 50 pesos na siya. So kung nakaiutang 100, niya moingon si debtor sa imo, sige kung nang bayaran pero tag 25 centavos. Pwede ka mo balibad, okay? Kay up to 50 pesos lang man sa legal tender. Gets ninyo? Balik ko na. Dili ka, kung for example, ang imuhang utang 100, dili ka pwede mo bayad og tinag-25 nga bali 100. Up to 50 pesos lang siya. So, ang katong 50 pesos, dapat either tinag piso or tinag 5 or tinag Gs na siya. Kaya kung musubra na ka sa 50 pesos worth of 25, pwede na may si creditor nga up to dili na ko modawat ana kanang ika 51. So up to 50 lang. Pwede na jud siya balibad because it is no longer illegal tender. That's for 25 pesos. Centavos rather. And in those amounts not exceeding 20 pesos for denomination of 0.10 or 10 centavos or 5. I don't know if you're still familiar or siguro sa mga uban nga medyo bata-bata pa, naaday tay 5 centavos and 10 centavos nga coin. Bag-o na po mga bag-o nga kuan kung gagmay nga murag piso siya. So it is only a legal tender up to 20 pesos. So kung mo go beyond 20 pesos ka, tas katong mga centavos imong ibayad, pwede na kabalibaran. So, for example, muadto kag tindahan, palit kag ice nga tag dos, ang imong ibayad is tag 5 centavos. Kunya dili dawaton sa tindahan kay gusto sila tibuok na dos. Dili nila na pwede buhaton actually. So, ila jud ang dawaton. Because under the law, it is a legal tender. And since it is a legal tender, the creditor must accept in payment. So, kailangan jud dawaton. Dili pwede nga yung sila nga, ay di namin nagadawat og 5 centavos or 10 centavos. But again, in practice, wala naman nagabayad ng 5 o 10, no? Konsinsilyo na lang naman na. You can just read the examples here. Payment by means of instrument of credits. So, right of creditor to refuse or accept. Okay? So, there are times wherein instead of cash ang ihatag sa tuwa as payment, natay mga ginatawag na instrument of credits. So, promissory note, example of instrument of credits mo na siya. So, checks, cheque, bills of exchange, and other commercial document, not legal tender, and therefore, creditor can be compelled to accept. However, this is common misconception when it comes to checks or promissory notes. Be reminded that in the Philippines, the only legal tender are coins and paper bills. So, kung na ay debtor, utangan sa imuha, just mag-offer siya cheque or promissory note as payment. For example, Pedro, nasa utang sa akuha, tapos si Juan na utang kay Pedro. Okay? Si Juan na utang kay Pedro nga 10,000. Na si Pedro na utang sa akuha nga 5,000. Pwede ba moingon si Pedro nga, ay bay, na ako 10,000 kolektahonon kay Juan. Ihatag na lang nako ning promissory note sa imuha. Ikaw na lang kolekta sa iya para impas na ko sa kong utang niya. Ginansyado pug ka kay 10,000 man to. Pwede ba na? The answer is no. Because those are just instrument of credits. Those are not legal tender and therefore pwede na ko balibaran. So, ay nahitabo ngayon na sa akong friend nga na manghulam sa iyaha. Kunya ang katong manghulam sa iyaha is napoy kolektahon nun sa iyang friend. So ang gusto mahitabo sa katong mangutang is mangutang sa akong friend tapos akong friend ang maningil atong iyahang kaila. So of course nibalibad siya, no? Anyways, so the creditor, however, if chooses, may accept them. So actually, pwede dawaton. Pero again, dili pwede ipugos ni debtor ay padawat kay creditor. So, there. The creditor must encash the instrument and it is only when it is dishonored that can bring an action for non-payment of debt. So, if ever nga dawaton ni creditor ang gihatag nga cheque, tapos, pagpa-encash niya karon kay ni talbog ang cheque, no? Wala di ay sulod ang iyahang bank account. So, it is only when it is dishonored. So, meaning, it is as if nga wala kanya bayari. Pag nitalbog ang cheque, tapos, it is only then the, it can be viewed as wala siya ni bayad. So, pwede ka nakaog civil case kay wala mo siya ni bayad. So, yan dapat bayaran. Okay? So, hi guys, napamudara. Are you still listening? So, there. So if you're still listening, kaway-kaway naman dyan. Okay. Let's continue. Effects on obligation. Payment by means of mercantile documents such as katong ganina, mga checks and promissory notes does not extinguish obligation because again, those are not legal tender. The debt, ang utang, is only considered paid pag mapa-encash nito siya. So unless nga wala pa itong mapa-encash, it's not accepted as payment. So bisan pa maghihatagan na kag cheque or gihatagan kag promissory note, sa ngalan nga wala pa to na encash, then it is as if wala pa gibayad. Therefore, pwede nimo ibalik ang cheque sa ilaha, tas dili na lang ko ani, gusto na ko kwarta, pwede. Okay, in the same example, assuming that for a reasonable length of time, Jean continuously failed to encash the check until the bank declared it to be stale, then such mercantile instrument can extinguish the obligation if it's due to the creditor's negligence. Okay, so this is an example where gihatagan na ka-cheque. Okay, so are you listening, guys? So if you're still listening, thumbs up, please. Okay. So if gihatagan na ka-cheque, tapos gihatagan na ka-cheque, and considering that there is proper funding on that bank account, pero after several months, I think it's around 3 months na lang man ata, 6 months. I'm not sure kung pila ka bulan before siya ma-stale. When we talk of ma-stale, mo siya mapanos, okay, or mapanos, madaot. So na ano na ang cheque, murag nilabay na, wala na kayo siya na murag gihatagan na kag reasonable amount of time, pero wag gyapon nimo gilok, igo na lang man ta nato nimo in cash, no, para mahimong kwarta, dalo na lang nimo sa bangko. Pero kung mapamatud-an niya naging pabaya sa creditor, wa jud niya adto bisag daghan siya time or nagbalik-balik na siya bangko, wa niya dala ang cheque. Tapos na stale na, the bank declared the check to be stale, then there is actually ground to extinguish the obligation because kapabayaan naman gud ng creditor. So nibayad og cheque kay probably ang iyang cash di siya gusto magdala-dalag cash for safety purposes, and na ay proper funding, gina-remind ni debtor nga, ay sir, palihog na akong in cash, kay basig ma-stale and wala din gihapon. So it may be grounds for extinguishment of obligation. So asa ta magbayad? So this is another question. Where do we pay our debt? So if there, of course, kung naamoy sabot nga, okay, nakaiutang sa kuha, pag mobayad na ka, adto diri sa balay. So kung naay nga nga statement, then wala tay problema na. However, if there is none, the law provided us with some guidelines. So if there is a stipulation, of course, dito, stipulation, we would always go back to the agreement of the parties. If there are no stipulation, walay sabot, kung asa ibutang or asa magbayad, the payments will be made at the place where the thing was at the perfection of the contract. So kung asa na perfect ang contract nga mangutang ka or the obligation, kung asa ka mangutang, then we will be paying it there. So kung nangutang ka diri sa balay, bisan pag wala tay sabot kung asa mo bayad, then it is safe to assume that payment shall also be made here. If there is no agreement as well and the thing to be delivered is generic, the place of payment shall be the domicile of the debtor. So when we talk of domicile, this is the place wherein it's the debtor or it's the creditor or the person's habitual residence. Kumbaga, kung mawahala ng tawhana na siya or kung gusto nato siya pangitaon, the domicile is the place wherein dito nato siya makita. And most of the time, sa balay din na siya. Dito kay, for example, nangutang ka sa iyaha, tapos dito ninyo gi-perfect sa iyahang office, and for some reason gusto na ka mo bayad, then pwede actually ka mo adto sa ilahang balay. So S obliged himself to deliver to B a specific refrigerator. It was agreed that the refrigerator should be delivered at B's house. So na stipulation kung asa ihatod. If there is no agreement as to the place kung asa ihatod ang refrigerator, then it might be at the house of C where the parties entered into a contract. If what has been promised to C was a generic refrigerator, bisag unsa lang, and there were no agreement as to the place of delivery, C will be the one to pick it up at the house of B. Any expenses paid to demand payment shall be borne by C as well. So we're now here in the second special forms of payment. Application of payment. So basically, nasa mga requisites. There must be one debtor and one creditor, of course. Na nangutang o nagiutangan. There must be two or more debts. So it is the same, kumbaga, the same debtor, the same creditor, pero daghang utang. Ana. Agad ha? Na debtor, na creditor, and there is more than one debt. There is more than one utang between them. The same debtor, the same creditor, pero daghang utang. The debt must be of the same kind. So the most common would be money. Ang utang is in money. So the debts to which payment made by the debtor has been applied must be due. Meaning, pwede na siya kolektahon. Ang katong mga multiple utang, katong daghan yung mga utang, which are all in cash, for example, pwede na siya kolektahon nun. Baga matured na siya. And the payment made must not be sufficient to cover all debts. So simply stated, na ay debtor, na ay creditor, daghang utang, pwede na kolektahon nun, and partial payment lang ang kaya ibayad ni creditor. Question is, asa man na to i-apply or asa man na to ibayad tong iyahang partial payment? Sa utang number 1 ba? Sa utang number 2? Utang number 3? Utang number 4? So asa na to gamiton to? Asa na to ibayad tong iyahang partial payment? So that is what is being discussed by application of payment. Where will we apply the partial payment? So the application of payment as to debts not yet due cannot be made unless there is a stipulation that the debtor may so apply, or it is made by the debtor, creditor, as the case may be, for whose benefit the period has been constituted. So asa nato i-apply? So these are the rules. So the debtor has the first choice. So debtor, ang nangutang, will have the first choice. So siya jud ang mag-indicate nga ay kani nga bayad para ni sa utang number 1 or utang number 2. So it depends. So he must indicate at the time of making payment and not afterwards which particular the debt the payment is applied to. So kailangan yun niya ni expressly stated either vocally or in writing. So kailangan niya i-indicate asa niya i-apply nga bayad. So the right to make the application once exercised is irrevocable unless na-further. So the second rule is that kung naka-indicate na ka nga ibayad nimo na sa utang number 1 nimo, then it shall be applied to utang number 1. Unless kung sugot si creditor na ibayad na lang dahil nimo sa utang number 2 nimo. The debtor does not apply. So what if walay gi-indicate si debtor kung asa niya to ibayad? So the creditor shall be the one to make the designation by specifying it on the receipt. So si creditor na magbuot kung asa to niya i-apply. Kaya wala man nag-indicate si debtor kung asa niya ibayad. So if nobody applied or the application is invalid, the debt which is most onerous to the debtor shall be designated. So kung walay gi-indicate si debtor, walay gi-indicate sa creditor, so asa i-apply ang bayad? The debt which is the most onerous. When we talk of most onerous, it is the one debt that is most burdensome or kumbaga mao ang pinakabugat na utang. So kung si utang number 1, 5,000, si utang number 2 kay 50,000, na nasa gibayad nga Bala na to, 10,000 ang iyang gibayad. Nga, wala sila isabot. The rule will say nga, pwede siya i-apply dito sa 50,000 kaya mas dako man siya. Pero kung kwarta-kwarta ra gyapon mong duha, pwede 5,000 sa first debt, 5,000 sa second debt. Or if rule number 1 is just 5,000 cash, utang number 2 is 5,000 cash pod pero na collateral nga singsing, then mas bugat atong na collateral nga singsing. And therefore, the payment will be applied first sa utang number 2 kay mao man siya ang burdensome, mas bugat, mas onerous. If all debts due are the same nature and burden, the payments will be applied proportionately. So kung parehang naman tanan cash, pareho walay collateral, pwede na kolektahon ng tanan, so pwede na lang siya i-divide by proportionately. So Harold owes Jesse the following: 2,000 payable August 30, blah, 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 blah. So, for example, on September 15, Harold paid 2,000 pesos. So, September 15, of course, kaning 2,000, pwede na siya kolektahon. Ang kaning B, pwede na po siya kolektahon. A specific compute the CPU worth 6,000 to be delivered on September 15. Kanipod, niya, 1,000. Nakulangan, no? Hindi lang natin sa ampilon. So, Harold, in this case, Harold has a choice whether he pays it for A, B, or C. Kaya due and demandable naman itanan, no? Nasa choice. So, if Harold was not able to decide, then Jesse be the one to apply. But he has to indicate which debt the payment was applied. So, if both parties were not able to apply the payment made according to the rule, the payment may be applied to the computer CPU since it's the most burdensome. Anong burdensome man siya? Kay kaning duha man god, kwarta lang ni siya. Kaning ikatulo, a specific computer CPU worth 6,000 pesos to be delivered on 15,000. Okay, so since this is this entails the delivery of goods amount kay 6,000, then this might be considered the most burdensome sa tulo. So, kung walay sabot si debtor, walay sabot si creditor, then the payment may be applied here. So, assuming that that debt B and C were valued at 2,000 pesos, the same with debt A. In this case, the 2,000 will be divided equally between the debt A and B, 1,000 each respectively. Why was debt C not included? Because it's not of the same nature with that of debt A and B. So, kung assuming na 2,000 pesos to sila tanan, debt A, B, and C, 2,000 pesos, tapos walay sabot, tapos na 2,000 gibayad, so it will be divided between debt A and B lang because pareha man sila kabugaton, 2,000 man sila. So, ang siya wala na appeal because ang nature niya is lahi man. Okay? So, when the principal debt produces interest, Article 1253. So, general rule is that application of payment if interest-bearing ang utang is firstly applied sa interest. So, for example, D owes 10,000 pesos with a 1,000 pesos accrued interest. So, D only paid 10,000 pesos. So, may mahitabuan eh. So, ang principal utang is 10,000. Pero, naana siya bayron nun niya interest 1,000 pesos. And here comes the date of payment. 10,000 lang ang ibayad ni D. So, how do we apply the 10,000 pesos? So, it is first applied to the interest na 1,000. So, naanalay 9,000 nga pwede ibayad sa principal. And therefore, after the transaction, si D nagyapon si utang nga 1,000. Now, unsa may implication? Marag pareha raman sir, 1,000 lang mangyapon niyang utang after the payment. The implication is that ang kanang gismil, kung gibayad na siya sa principal, wala na amount nga magtubo. Kumbaga, ang 1,000 pesos nga interest, naman siya nga, ay, bay, 10,000 lang sa akong ibayad sa imuha, kanang sa principal lang sa ani, ayaw lang sa ani sa sunod na lang tong interest. So, since, ano lang, simple interest lang inyong sabot. So, kung yan ang mahitabo, katong 1,000 pesos nga mabilin, most probably, dili na to sa mag-generate of interest in the succeeding days. However, kung katong principal ang nabilin, which is what happened here, principal ang nabilin, since interest-bearing man ang utang, manganak pa to siya interest. So there is a very technical difference. So in another more practical example, on January 1, James borrowed 100,000 from Carl with a 10% interest. So the 100,000 debt produced 10,000 interest for the entire year. Therefore, the payment of James will only be applied to the interest. After a year, paying 10,000 still have 100,000 amount of the debt. This is the problem with a lot of people nga daga pangutang. Why? Because kasagaran, interest lang ilahang ginabayaran. Wala nila ginabayaran ang principal. Kana bang ginaingon nila nga minimum payment lang. And I'm not sure with this one, pero sa ako ang mga nadunggan, mayroon tag minimum payment, halos interest ang imuhang ginabayaran ana. Meaning ang imuhang principal nga utang dili makuhaan. And since sa ngalan nga dili siya makuhaan, magsige ra gyapon tog panganak og interest. And matingalan na lang ka nga sa kadugay sa mga tuig nga sige kag bayad sa imong utang, sige kag bayad. Tingala ka nga wala man makuha ay imong utang because again ang imong ginabayaran lang is the interest. Wala nimo ginabayaran ang principal. Paminaw nimo naka-save ka kay gamay lang imong ginabayad monthly, but in the long run ikaw ang luoy. Why? So after 5 years, 10 years, wala po na impas imong utang. Kaya again, minimum lang imuhang ginabayaran. So again, be reminded with this application of payment that in the case of loan, your payment will be first applied to the interest before makaltas sa principal. So kung mabayad mo utang sunod, dako ana pod para ma-appeal ang principal. Okay, let's now go to payment by cession. Payment by cession is the assignment or abandonment of all properties of the debtor for the benefit of his creditors, wherein such properties are sold and the proceeds thereof shall be used to pay the creditors. So this is quite similar with dasyon in payment or dasyon in pago. Sa dasyon in pago manggod, ang kalahian lang is nakay utang. Okay? Wala kay kwarta pero nakay property. So sa dasyon in pago guys, for example, cellphone, ibayad na ako ni akong cellphone para maimpas ang akong utang. So the obligation has been changed from payment of money to the delivery of an object. Nakuha ta siya? Thumbs up kung nakuha. Okay? So when I deliver this phone as my payment, bisan pag maingon ang debtor nga 5,000 akong utang, bali 2,000 lang ako ang gihatod nga cellphone. Sa ngalan nga dasyon in pago ang ato ang sabot, then the entire obligation will be extinguished. So wala ko utang. Kung sa akong gibayad cellphone, okay, dasyon in pago man. Okay? Gets. So ang tagya sa cellphone karon is creditor na. However, in the case of cession, okay, sa problema sa cession. Sa cession, property gyapon. Okay? Wala ko yung kwarta, na ko property. Pero sa cession, ibaligya sa ang property, niyang halin, mao ang ibayad sa creditor. So, ang ownership will be transferred from the owner to the buyer. Dili padulong sa creditor. And, kung kulang pa gani, nagyapoy utang si debtor. For example, ang utang 10,000 tapos 2,000 lang man ang halin sa cellphone. So, after gibalik ang cellphone, dawat ang 2,000, gibahin-bahin sa mga creditor, napagyapon di utang ng 8,000. So, mangita na po kung another property. Okay, so that's the difference. So, there must be 2 or more creditors na magbahin-bahin. The debtor must be partially insolvent. Partially insolvent lang kay napaman siya mga properties. The assignment must involve all properties of the debtor. Okay, so all the properties. And cession must be accepted by the creditors. So let's go to the example. Karil is indebted to Jong in the amount of 2 million. Due to her insolvency or partial insolvency, it was accepted the creditors that payment by cession will be applied. Unfortunately, the proceeds only raised 1.5. So the utang is 2 million, 1.5 lang ang nahalin sa properties. So in this case, Karel is only released up to 1.5. Dapat sa utang 500,000. Kaya kung dasyon in pago pa ni, the properties will serve as full payment. So kung dasyon in pago ni siya, wala na siya utang afterwards. So tender of payment and consignation. So tender of payment is the debtor's act of offering to the creditor the thing or so lahi na siya sa legal tender. Ang legal tender is the medium of payment. This one, tender of payment, so this is the act of paying. So the action of paying. Okay? So the debtor's act of offering to the creditor the thing or money to be delivered. So nasa utang, nag-offer siya. So nagpakita siya willingness and capacity to pay. Just sa balay, dala siyang kwarta. So that's it. So what happens in consignation? So consignation is the act of depositing the thing or amount due with the proper court when the creditor does not desire or cannot receive it after complying with the formalities required by law. So what happened here? So si debtor, nag-tender of payment siya. Willing and able siya magbayad and gibuhat dito niya, for example, niadto siya sa balay sa creditor para magbayad or niadto siya sa office or niadto siya sa domicile. Basta kanang kamot siya nga makabayad. So he exerted effort to pay the debt with, of course, with money completely or kung sa manilahang agreement. Now, for some reason, dili niya makita si creditor. Siyempre, di po niya gusto i-bayad siyang silingan, no? Di po niya gusto i-bayad siyang anak. Gusto niya nga nasa iyahang dyan siya bayad, no? Sa creditor or sa iyang mga authorized representative. So, again, there is that tender of payment. But for some reason, the creditor does not desire or cannot receive it. Dili niya mahatag kay dili niya makita si creditor and wala po gibinlan niya representative. Or naa si creditor dira ilang balay pero dili gusto magpakita kay debtor, di siya gusto bayaran, ay na pud dili gusto bayaran. Wata kabalo, okay, wata kabalo. So, the debtor now may resolve for a consignation. So, unsay mahitabo sa consignation? Kumato ang requisites, kumato ang discuss ganina. Okay? So, what happened here is that si debtor, pwede niya ibayad ang kwarta sa korte. Okay? Manang ginaingon dira nga is the act of depositing the thing or the amount due with the proper court. Proper court. When the creditor does not desire, cannot receive it. After complying, so naringkamot na siyang magbayad, pero for some reason, hindi niya mahatag-hatag. So, i-deposit niya sa korte. It's always judicial and generally requires a prior tender of payment. So, kung may tabo dito, di-deposit niya dito, and the court now will summon the creditor para masettle na ang obligation. So, there are actually people existing na willing man kung mabayad sila ang utang. Okay? And maningkamot sila nga makabayad. So, kung si creditor na magnilabad, na dili sila gusto magpabayad, so pwede consignation. So, example, Jessa owes 20,000 to Carlos. On the due date, Jessa offers to pay in cash the entire debt, but the creditor refused to accept the payment without valid justification. In this case, Jessa may have the option to make a valid consignation in order for her obligation to be extinguished. So, it is as if deposit mo din sa korte para makabayad ka. Okay, then the court will have its own process of connecting with the creditor para mahatag sa iyaha ang kwarta. That's it, Pansit. We are already done with lesson number 1. And next week I'll be I'll be discussing module number 2, lesson 2. And after that one, we'll be having our midterm module assessment. Okay, so you will actually have a break by, I'm not mistaken, na ayaw mo break by 23 and 24. So you have time to answer the application of module 2, lesson 1. And by 26, lesson 2 na punta. Then by December 3, I'll be November 30. By November 30, I'll be giving you your midterm assessment so that we could still catch up with the final module and lessons. So again, I encourage you to make comment. I'll be uploading this one to YouTube. I'm encouraging everyone to ask questions sa comments or sa group chat nato, and feel free to reach out to na yung mga concerns. That would be all, and see you.